So the moment you have your team, understanding your goals and your visions and the working structure, and also understanding how you're making money and how much money you're trying to make. And I say this from everyone, even the guy doing graphics in the corner needs to know that this client that I'm doing graphics for is giving us this amount of money, so this is a big client, and this is how the whole company is set up. This is what we're depending on. And I think that kind of gives them that urge to be like, damn, I probably need to work harder even when I get home. You could really be whatever you want to be, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that should limit you. And the only thing that you really have in this world is your time, and you don't know how much of that you have. But like, whereas like Tashinga's got millions, but he came from this, and this is what he had to do.
100%.
This, you know what I mean?
100%.
And he had to lose all of that to then get to that.
Exactly.
And that should be able to give someone some sort of inspiration to be like, I can do it. You know what I mean?
We began as an open mic.
Young creatives simply wanting to express ourselves.
As we supported each other, we started to witness the greatest within.
And without knowing, we grew into a talent hub.
As we began to detail our craft,
we found the courage to share our gift with the world.
From merchandise to the sold-out theatre productions.
To all the amazing people we met and collaborated with along the way.
The process of creating art helped us overcome our fears.
By teaching us
the power of art. We are here to tell you.
We're here to tell you.
We're here to tell you.
We are here to tell you.
We are here to tell you.
It's possible.
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 I'm Chad Isaacs, and this is Raw.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest in the house tonight. This man inspires me. This man started out as a videographer. He then became simultaneously an event coordinator. He then became one of the hottest DJs in Cape Town and maybe even South Africa. This man is now a producer, an artist, the CEO of Greenback Media, but most importantly, Cape Town's very own Lucius Lion, the man himself, Tashinga!
What up, Chad? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. Thank you so much for being here, bro.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Taking time out of your busy schedule. I appreciate you, bro.
For sure. Thank you so much.
So it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Really long journey. I feel like you skipped a couple of things there, but I mean,
listen, we don't have
who
the
remembers?
time.
Even I don't remember. You know what I mean? It's like, should I
we do not have the time to go through your CV. But let me first say, like, just watching you grow, because we kind of started out the same time.
Yeah.
Me in music, you in videography, and working together was a privilege.
Yeah.
The quality, when we spoke about Ethnique's video the other day, the quality that you produced back then is, and it's still relevant now, it just showcases how good you were, right? And how good you still are, and how good you're going to be moving forward. So my question for you, my very first question for you, is something that's always interested me about you, is where does that driving force for you exploring and you sort of mastering all these different things as you go along?
Where does that come from? I think I got this realization at some point in my life that you could really be whatever you want to be. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that should limit you. And the only thing that you really have in this world is your time, and you don't know how much of that you have. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't want to have something that, you know, I want to do, and I kind of think I'll do it in 10 years when I'm kind of, you know, settled in this, and like it never, that 10 years never comes, whether it's because I leave this earth or because, you know, my life then is less allowing to that. So I think every moment that I feel like I kind of want to learn how to do that, I just go ahead and do it. So I don't know if I've told you, I started learning keys recently as well. I think I'm going to try learn to play the drums as well at some point. So it's just like, there's these crazy things that just come up in my head, and I'm like, I think I want to do that, but why wait for anything? That's one thing. And then the other thing, as you all know, when you connect the dots, part of it was to just save money, bro.
I love your honesty, sir.
Like,
I love it.
I started DJing because I wanted to save money at my events. Like there's no reason to book a DJ to play the first 2 hours because people are still walking in. So I was like, why don't I play? Because there's nothing much happening. I'll be on my phone checking what's happening and DJing at the same time. And this one time, we had a club event which was an after party to another party, and that party ended early because it was closed down. So a lot of people came to the club early, and I had no other DJ at the club, so I had to play.
Crazy.
And am I allowed to swear?
Of course.
And I fucking enjoyed it. So after that, I was like, you know what? I think I want to do this. I think I want to take this seriously. So like I said, some of them are just things that I felt like I had an itch to want to do, and I just decided there's no reason for me to wait. I'm gonna master it now. And then some of them were just to save money.
Dude, let me say, what you just shared with me is something that I really hold close to my heart in terms of my belief system. And that is, at the end of the day, it all boils down to how you feel about yourself when you by yourself, Yeah. So I mean, that's real. Like all the other stuff can be, smoke screens and murders. But when you have a belief system of I can achieve anything, and I'm like sincerely, it's not words. It's like you literally believe that. Your doors just start opening because now you are then putting the work in because you believe that you can do it. So you know what? For some people, playing the keys might be intimidating, but you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna give it a go. And I think once we see that progression, no pun intended, but once we, you know what I'm saying? Once we see I'm getting a little bit better, I'm getting a little bit, that's motivation to continue. And we always have the conversation when we started, there was way more talented guys than us.
Yeah, for sure.
But we still going today. You know what I mean? And it's because we sort of had that, we've always had that same mindset of, you know what, we're gonna keep doing this, we're gonna keep hustling. So for and that's a nice segue to my next question, For artists out there, obviously we know the world is different. The world we live in now is different than we lived in last year. What did the old normal look like for creatives, right? And what opportunities will the new normal bring?
Look, that's a very difficult question because I don't think I was living in anyone else's shoes. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard for me to answer what every other creative was going through in the old normal.
For sure.
I think for me personally, and this is gonna kind of go into what lockdown did for me, like this lockdown period. I think for me personally, because I'm a multi-faceted creative, I was just busy executing, right? There was a lot of, it's this client wants this and you do it, this client wants this. I was working at 2 different clubs at some point, and on Fridays I had 2 club nights running in the same street. Like, crazy. This is just before lockdown, so I'd have to make sure this club is full, this club is full, the DJs there are playing well, everything is running smoothly, and it's like it's all about executing, waking up in the morning and executing. What lockdown did for me, and this brings me to the opportunities that creatives have moving forward. What lockdown did for me is it gave me time to think back and like recalibrate and see exactly where I'm trying to head and like what's worth the time, what's not worth the time, or how to do things better. You know what I mean? Because when you're too busy executing, you're not planning.
100%.
That's the problem.
Well said, sir. You're
picking up whatever's coming. So I think the opportunities that creatives have right now, well, the opportunity they have at this point as the world starts to reopen is to start seeing exactly where they're trying to place themselves within, the creative space. And I think as soon as things reopen, I don't think the online space that we saw,
previously
rising into lockdown is going to die out too quick. So I think online is a very, very big space that I think creators should look to go into. Creating your brand online and, creating content for online is something that I think they should really look into, mastering.
100%. Yeah. So I think, that was a mouthful and it was well executed. But I think what I take out of that, one of the punchlines is definitely the positioning.
Yeah.
So I mean, for anyone who knows anything about marketing, positioning is one of the fundamental P's. Besides like the other 4 that they teach you, but positioning is one of the important ones. And for me, it's important because it's almost like an aspect of life in general, positioning. Like, I believe everyone has value. Everyone has something to offer. Everyone has a role to play, right?
Sure.
You just need to find what that role is, and that is positioning. So when artists are able then to have this time of introspection and reflection, right, and find out, you know what, I was on my way to being a producer, but deep down inside, right, I really wanted to be an artist. That is what you need to do. You need to plan for the future and obviously put the right steps in place. And coming back to our previous conversation where we spoke about, you know, like, don't be scared. Like, put, like, learn the skill set, right? Once you learn the skill set, the door opens. Doesn't happen the other way around.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Because any creative will tell you, like, the business that we in, if we see someone that's talented, that's good at what they do, we want to be associated with them. That's how it works. So learn the skill set, become good at it, detail your craft, and automatically the doors will sort of open up for you. So within that, my next question then is, Tash, is artists and creatives, right? What would you, in your own personal opinion, view as a successful sort of career, you know, or artist life cycle, if you will? Like, what does that look like to you?
You're gonna hate me for answering this a lot today, because but I'm gonna say it's all about your shoes, like how you're walking in your shoes and the path that you're walking on. And I think it's kind of hard for me to quantify success for anyone else. You know what I mean? Success is something different from me, from what it is someone else. Success for them might just be a specific amount of money per month. For someone else, it's an impact that they've made in a specific
100%.
industry. For someone else, might be an impact they've made to a specific number of people. You
100%.
know what I mean? So what I can say, though, is I think as an individual, not even just artists, but since we're speaking to artists, I think you need to sit down and write down the things that you are aiming to achieve in either your life or in a specific amount of time, or, you know what I mean, in terms of the things that you're going to look back and be like, that's my yardstick for success.
100%.
Because I don't think it's that easy for you to just be like, I think a successful artist is someone that can pay their own rent and have kids and you know what I mean. I don't see it that way. So I think I can answer that for myself if you want me to.
Please answer, but I think before you do, that will be the next question. But before you do, I think you've answered that question, to be honest with you, and I think it even shed light on the matter to me. So what I mean is, I think just to be an artist is a success. It's as simple as that, you know. After that, then we're looking at trophies. You know what I mean?
True.
You know, so and I mean that is then obviously based. I mean, it's a creative industry, it's based on preference and stuff like that. So just to, and I think that should be celebrated. Like
True.
if you are an artist,
True.
That's success in itself, right? But I think the fundamental thing to sort of close that the conversation is that you need to be happy than just being an artist. So
I think I'm actually going to equate it to something that I think Steve Jobs said in a speech, and it was about just creators in general, I think, which is, as an artist, every time you put out a piece of work, it's like you're standing in front of a group of people naked. I think that's literally
100%
the best analogy that I can give people, because I understand when I speak to someone, I'm like, you're so dope, dog, why don't you put this out? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, you're so dope, start a YouTube channel. They're like, everyone's starting YouTube channels. I feel like I'm afraid. And I'm like, I get it. But like you're saying, being an artist and being able to be like, I'm putting this out,
100%.
whether the world likes it or not, is actually a success. Because that means you've managed to step out and stand in front of everyone naked and be like, you guys can judge my body and the size of everything. And I'm okay with it, because you're judging the things that I've created, the music I've created, the art I've created, and, you know.
And we're going to judge that on Double D's. Double D's is an A in our. But I think that's so true, bro. And for me, like the joy and the success of an artist, I think then we should say, besides being one, is putting out the work. You know, and creating like this. I spoke on the show before, like with regards to creating, and there is, when you're busy, You know this. You were creative in many aspects of your life. But when you actually in the creation, when you in that flow state, right? Something magical. Something that you firstly, you're not tired.
Yeah.
You're not hungry.
Yeah.
Feels like you've got like energy for days, and there's just like you're just so focused and driven. And I think that in itself is a success, and I think that's what artists should aim for.
Yeah.
The rest is admin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like get really good at what you do, detail your craft, work hard, right? Put out the work, and then obviously it takes a team and a whole lot of people who are specialized in distribution and marketing and PR and media and promotion. To make the art sell. But it's your job to make the art.
True.
You know what I mean? So you did ask that you did answer that question. Now, what does Tashinga have to say on that question?
Look, man, it's it's a loaded question, but I think for me, success is leaving an impact enough for someone to be able to look at my life story and be like, I want to be successful because he could do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's not something that I can measure through finance or anything.
100%.
I already do have those DMs where someone's like, you know, that's inspirational or whatever. But these are people that don't even know my story like that. In fact, not too many people know my story like that. Yeah. I mean, I've only done like 1 or 2 interviews that have gone in depth to like how I grew up, and
hopefully this is one of them.
You know, in depth to how I grew up and how, you know, everything was financially and how everything is financially now and everything. But I kind of feel like I need to get to a point where someone sits down and they're like, Tashinga's got, again, I don't want to quantify money, but like where it's like Tashinga's got millions, but he came from this and this is what he had to go
100%.
through. This, you know what I mean?
100%.
And he had to lose all of that to then get to that.
Exactly.
And that should be able to give someone some sort of inspiration to be like, I can do it. You know what I mean? So for me, that's, if I can get one person to live their life saying, if Tashinga could do it, I'm going to do it, that
100%.
to me, that's success.
100%. 100%. And if you don't mind, like, I mean, we've shared a few stories, you know, about your past, and I mean, like, the story itself is a success. Share like the punchlines of you know, growing up in Zim to being in the position that you are now. Just like the highlights, the punchlines.
Look, I grew up in a very, and let me say the downfall of Zim. So I always tell people that I think kids that are born in Zim now might be luckier than us.
Crazy.
Because they never got to see the good Zim. So for them, this is it. And that sounds like a very weird thing to say, like the bad Zim is it. But like, at least if Zim gets better, to them, they're seeing things
progression,
get better. I was born in 92, and Zim 92 was nice. Yeah. Zim 92 probably had a better currency than South Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
If you ever wanted to start something,
yeah,
it's called Zim 92. I'm just telling you. Zim 92 sounds like something.
That might be my email password. Not so sure. But yeah, so look, Zim, born in Zim 92. Like I said, things were good. I mean, obviously, when you're born, you don't know what's going on in the economy or whatever. But you kind of understand, like when you're 3, 4, you kind of get to go to the restaurants with the kids area. You kind of get to go on the holidays every holiday. Go to like the resorts and whatever, and you get to experience that life. You know, my dad worked at a bank. My mom worked at a bank. My dad was like, whenever the bank opened a new branch, he was the guy that would go and train the new people, kind of vibe. So like we moved a lot. So I lived in like so many different cities in Zim.
Crazy.
And then the whole downfall started happening, you know, and like this is when you're starting to understand life. So you know there's an election happening, you don't know what it's about, but you know there's some sort of election happening. You know, you're watching news, so you kind of see that, oh shit, people are being beaten up. What's going on? You know what I mean?
Crazy.
And then slowly, as you grow up, you're growing up into understanding that this economy is falling and like everything is, you know, fucking out.
Yeah.
And I mean, my parents lost a lot during that because I mean, this was when like the 9 to 5 lifestyle, excuse me, the 9 to 5 lifestyle in Zim just kind of died out. Like you couldn't be a 9-to-5 person anymore, and they were growing older. So all the younger kids, all the younger kids are the people that kept up with the whole foreign currency dealing, or there was a lot of different dealings that happened. You know what I mean? In Zim, and not all of them were illegal per se, but like you had to be an energetic kid on the ground for you to understand what's going on. You know, I'll just try to paint 3 pictures for you. The first one was the foreign currency one. Before the US dollar was legal in Zim, there was a lot of like black market US dollar dealing. That's something that I would never have expected my dad to go around doing. You know what I mean? Lucky enough, they had, while like they were still working in the banks, they had purchased like a small little farm outside of the city. So like we were able to eat whatever. There was enough chickens and cows and stuff to keep us eating.
Yeah.
And then there was a whole cell phone thing going on, but that wasn't like a big thing. It was like for just people who trying to make a bit of money. You sell a phone, you buy another one.
Okay.
I don't know how people made a lot of profit with that, but I kind of got into that as well. And then there was the car one, which is what I got into quite a lot. So in Japan, they're only allowed to drive cars for 3 years. Yeah. And then you trade it in, almost like you do with your phones there, right? Those cars are sent to like different countries, but mainly Africa. Yeah. And they come into Africa through Durban and Walvis Bay in Namibia. So my brother used to be like, he owned like a business that did that, and I was sort of working under him. He would come to Durban, get some cars, bring them to Zim, and then we'll sell them, right? Crazy. And they'll be very cheap here, because in Japan, I don't know how much they send them off, but like it's very cheap. So in Zim, we'll then sell them. So that's what I was doing for like a bit of my gap year.
Are any of these cars still available?
Not that I know of.
Sorry, continue. It just sounds like such a good deal.
It was such a good deal, but apparently they're not allowed to be driven in South Africa.
I'm pretty sure it's...
Yeah, they're not allowed to be driven in South Africa, so... Anyway, so yeah, I'm just trying to paint a picture of why...
No, beautiful, bro.
It was different to my parents being able to carry on with, you know, what they... My parents being able to carry on with with sort of providing the way they were, you know what I mean? So I guess I got to an age where I understood that, you know what, money needs to go to the important things. And as I'm saying, as the downfall happened, there's certain things we couldn't do. We couldn't go on the holidays anymore. We couldn't, you know, we had to give up all the luxuries. And I could see my parents selling cars, selling this, selling that. And I could tell that, you know, there's a lot that's changing. But all that money was going into our education, because they made sure that until the end, we still went to good schools. You know what I mean? Until even coming to Cape Town and going to AFTER. And I remember, I think when they paid my last AFTER fees, they sold the last car they had in Zim. And to me, that was like, they just literally gave everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that touched me. I mean, until now, it's like, oh, fuck, these people really put in all of this to...
better your lives,
That being said, I think I spent the 3 years that I was in varsity in South Africa without going back to Zim. The year after that, I went back to Zim for the first time. And the 3 years that I was here, the decline of the country was like dramatic. It was even worse. So like just seeing everyone that I used to chill with during my gap year, the people I used to go out with, and there was still, you know, clubbing or whatever, and now seeing them literally with no clue of what to do was just like scary, you know what I mean? And I always say, right, I always use this analogy. I'm like, I don't run away from where I'm from, and I don't run away from the fact that we need to do something for Zimbabwe, like when I can. I actually just launched a charity drive towards it. But I feel like, so when I say this, don't take it as I'm running away from Zim.
Of course.
It's more... The reason why I feel like sometimes I work so hard is because if you were to be put in this room, are you afraid of lions or snakes? Are you afraid of lions or snakes?
I really like animals, but I'm probably going to go for snakes.
So if you were put in this room and there was a lot of snakes, you would run until someone literally tells you there's no more snakes, Chad.
Of course.
And if someone was to walk you back in here, you're literally going to peep through to see if there's still snakes. That's how I feel about Zim.
I'm actually feeling like there's some
That's how I feel about Zim. It's like, I feel like I'm running away from the circumstance that Zim is. Not the country itself, but just running away from that. And I'm trying to achieve so much so that if I ever go back, even if they're snakes, I'm like, you know what? They're snakes, but now I'm ready to face the snakes.
100%.
You know what I mean? So that was me growing up. And then Cape Town happened, and I think the one thing, because of the sacrifice that my parents had obviously put, I did not want to be that kid that goes back and need them to take care of me. So I think second year, that's when I started Greenback. I think that's around the time I met you.
Yeah.
Am I lying? I'm lying. First year, I started Greenback, but I met you in
second year.
Yeah, so first year I started Greenback, and second year, things were kind of not stable, but like stable enough for me not to need an allowance from them. So like we
and you were already living by yourself.
Yeah. So we kind of let that go. I didn't need an allowance from them. And then when I graduated, my brother, who was paying my rent at the time, was like, bro, you're on your own. I was like, okay. So I had to start paying my own rent. So I've never really had that sort of comfort zone where it's like, okay, someone is still paying your rent, but you've got a job, so you can, you know,
100%.
I've never had that at
100%.
all. And then I think it's just been like a struggle growing from that into stabilizing this sort of company and like being able to pay people salaries, etc.
100%.
And I've had a lot of you've known people who've worked with me, and I've had roller coasters where the team was building and then something happened, you know. In actual fact, COVID was another one of those things, and then some magical thing happened to our company and we're back up now. But like if this thing hadn't happened that we're in now, I don't know if I've been able to even have one employee back, because you know there's no income.
Of course.
So I don't know if I missed any sort of highlights there, but that's the story of
beautiful
me coming
story,
up.
bro. Beautiful. Yo, bro, that story in itself is a microcosm of what people need to overcome to become better people. And firstly, thank you for sharing that. You know, I know, you know, like being a creative, like, you know, it's you're very vulnerable when you share stuff like that. So I appreciate your honesty. And, you know, what you spoke about.
Can I just say, just so that, just to not add on to the story, but just to close it off and say, I also don't ever pretend to have had the rags to riches story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why I say,
it wasn't all rags. Like, my parents were working at banks. We were going on holidays. You know what I mean? There's people who've had worse upbringings than that. I did go to private schools. I did go to AFTA, which is, you know?
Of course.
So I think for me, it was more seeing the things around.
I think...
And the decline.
Exactly.
Really,
and I think, you know what? Just because, you know, I mean, just because you go to maybe fancy schools or you do have a bit of money in the bank, or your parents wealthy, that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to have a good upbringing. I think people get confused. I mean, you know, if you have a stable household, you know, where your mom and your dad and maybe your grandparents are around and you're middle class, I mean, that in itself could be a great upbringing, because you have the support and you have structure and you have love and you have acknowledgement and all of those things. And money you can't buy that sort of stuff, you know. So we must be very careful not to just assume that if you go to a private school that your upbringing was okay. You know what I mean? But I think what you touched on there is very important in terms of perspective. And when you spoke about Zim, it was so beautiful to see that it's still like very much a part of who you are.
100%.
And it still has a place in your heart. And when a lot of people, you know, move, you know, to a different country, the people that are left behind, you know, and I mean, we can all attest to it, are a little bit sour and like, how can you leave? And you know what I mean? And that's why I'm glad you painted that beautiful picture for us, because for me, like, at the end of the day, if you leaving makes you a better person, then that's okay with me. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think we all need to be okay with each other, bettering ourselves. Like, I think that's the most important thing. So I think it becomes obviously a bit complicated is when the people that leave then start bad mouthing the country. I think that's when maybe it becomes a bit more, I don't know, vicious, I suppose, in its nature. But I really think that the way that you portrayed Zimbabwe, the way that you portrayed your story, shows us that we can leave our neighborhood, right? And become better people, but still have love for the neighborhood, because in actual fact, we are the neighborhood. It's part of who we are, and it's part of the reason, right, that gave us motivation and drive to overcome the conditions that we were living in to become better people. You know what I mean? So the way that you portrayed yourself and your mindset and your ambition in that story was beautiful, bro. Like respect for that.
And not to get political or or personal.
Ooh, here we go. Put his mic off, Liam. Put his mic off.
Not to get political or personal, and I think I'm in a room surrounded by South Africans, so I might just die. It's the last time I'm being seen here. But I think another thing which, I mean, I haven't felt it from you. I've known you for a long time. I haven't felt it from personal people that I know, but like South Africa is quite a bit of a xenophobic society. And there's something that we hear about and we know about a lot. And that in itself is a strong reminder on a daily basis that Zimbabwe is home.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So, not to say that if South Africa wasn't xenophobic, I'd have forgotten home or whatever, but like, it's kind of hard to forget that you're not from here in South Africa, you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's just South Africa. Maybe every country you go to has that element, and maybe I just see it because I live here, you know what I mean?
Of course, like, I mean, I can never empathize with you because I'm not a foreigner. I'm from the country, so I can never understand or you know what I mean. But I mean, it's something we can't deny. We see it in the news. We hear it. We know about people that was affected. I just think we shouldn't like. I don't think it's South Africa in its entirety.
No, for sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
It's individuals, right? It's an individual group that probably feel threatened by the work ethic of these people coming to our countries, because at the end of the day they're willing to work harder for less money, right? And if you're a capitalist, right, which most of us are in some way, shape or form, right, you have to be to sort of get by in society, you know, in terms of being an entrepreneur, you need to be able to make profit. So it's a good business decision.
Yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, you know, and I think that's something. And I mean, there's people out there that know much more than politics than I do, but I think that is something that's a conversation that needs to be sort of had between the people that feel, hey, these guys are coming to our country and taking all the jobs, but then also we need to look at, like, is the guys that's in our country, are they actually putting in the work that is required to build the businesses?
I think a part of it also is not really not the extreme xenophobia, which is the violent one, which is I think what you've spoken about. I think it's more, but like again, I don't want to get too much into that topic. But
of course,
it's more systematic than anything. It's things like how long you have to, or as in how short of a time span you can be here before you go and prove your legality again, like the whole visa thing and not being able. Like it's just there's a lot of things that have to keep reminding you that, damn, I'm actually not from here. I have to keep proving that I'm legal. I'm doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just, it's the same thing that always makes us feel like, could they not just fix that country, dog? You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's part of it. But I think even if I was living in a country where it wasn't like that, I think I would still feel like Zimbabwe's home, and I'll still always,
But I think like in 3 years' time, you'll be able to buy Zimbabwe. So you'll be all right.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope I'll have money, but let's hope Zimbabwe gets better as well.
And I know the first thing Tash is going to do is going to be a picture of him on the note with those glasses on.
For sure. And every office has to have a picture at the back.
Cool. Yeah. So being an entrepreneur, Tash, you know, when we met, you were a young, ambitious entrepreneur ready to take on the world. And you touched on there briefly about the ups and downs, you know, and I was having a conversation with a friend, you know, and like they basically spoke about in his team, he's like, yeah, I work so much more than other people. He's obviously the CEO of the company. Yeah. So I'm like, dude, that's part of it. At the end of the day, you can't expect the people that are in your team, and I don't want to talk in terms of hierarchy, but that are lower than you, in lower positions than you are, to have the same drive and work ethic, because your goals are different. You know what I mean? This is your baby. This you know, this business is a reflection of who you are. You can't expect them to wake up at 5 o'clock and go to bed at 3. It's just not relevant. So the next question is, bro, being an entrepreneur, when we started out, to being an entrepreneur now, like what has changed in Tashinga's mindset, in Tashinga's work ethic, in Tashinga's goals?
I think the goals are still the same, right? Okay. And I think I spoke about like how I'm gonna measure my success. But I think what has changed in my mindset, it comes back to something you actually mentioned, and I was trying to stop you a little bit there and be like, that might actually be a problem.
Yeah.
So what has changed in my mindset is, if you want to be a freelancer for the rest of your life, then do everything on your own, right? If you want to be someone who's building a team and building a company, then you're going to need to let go of the idea that you're the only one who can do things. Or you 100%. Still need to work hard, but you don't have to work the hardest in your team.
100%.
I think the one thing that I recently, read, it's actually a very awkward conversation to have because one of my team members is in the room. So now she's going to be like, oh, is this how you manage it? But I think the biggest thing that, and I think she can attest to this as well, is that I like to explain, like you say, they don't have the same goals and the same vision.
Yeah.
I like to put them in the same boat.
100%.
So the moment you have your team understanding your goals and your visions and the working structure, and also understanding how you're making money and how much money you're trying to make. And I say this from everyone, even the guy doing graphics in the corner needs to know that this client that I'm doing graphics for is giving us this amount of money. So this is a big client, and this is how the whole company is set up. This is what we're depending on. Yeah. And I think that kind of gives them that urge to be like, damn, I probably need to work harder even when I get home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
It's not just an office in and out thing. I'm not just doing this for a 9 to 5. So, and also just looking at where we're trying to place a company, how big we're trying to get. If everyone understands that, then they also understand that, damn, if we all work hard now, in 2-3 years, I'll have 5 people and I'm managing and I don't have to do a lot of things. So I did have that problem. Which is, and I call it a problem because I did have that at some point where I would create teams and they'll do nothing and I'll do everything. Because I just felt like for it to be done right, I must do it. And then I would sleep like 3 hours a night because I'm just working all the time. And they're not really understanding their positioning in the company, because for me, it was just about passing down tasks as opposed to passing down the vision.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100% well said, sir.
Yeah, I think the mindset has changed.
Yeah.
I like to delegate a lot more.
Yeah.
I like to give them the big tasks now. I like to be like, okay, this is the project, this is the idea, run it.
Yeah.
It's not, this is the project's idea, I'm going to run it, but you guys are going to do small tasks to help me do it. That used to be me. Yeah. And that doesn't end up working because, it just dies out. But like, the mindset now is delegate and just get everyone to understand the vision and make them do the work that
100%.
That's exciting, which is actually running the project.
100% agree with you, brother. And I think what I kind of meant with regards to, you can't expect your team to work harder than you.
Yeah.
Like that's obviously a double-edged sword, man. Like at the end of the day, like you need to understand that the stakes is always going to be higher with you.
Yeah.
So what I kind of meant was, like, if the graphics guy could just get up and leave and say, fuck this, it's not working for me, right?
Yeah.
But you have to be like, doesn't matter who comes or leaves in my team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish it.
True.
True. So and I think the balance is sort of the key. Is like when you have that nature of because I think you being more humble than or you being too you understating too much of your capabilities, because I know for the fact that even though you're giving the big tasks, right?
Yeah.
They still understand what your expectations and your standards are of that task. True. Because you are involved. That piece of that body of work or that piece of art is a reflection of Tashinga.
True.
You know what I mean? And the key to that is that you are the common denominator in all of that stuff in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? It might not be you physically there, but it was you looking over the shoulder and say, the way you edited that, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do think that you understated a lot in terms of your capabilities as a leader, because I know that you are a great leader. When we had the chat the first time you came to studio, It was so cool for us to actually have a chat in a boardroom while the guys are doing the work, because we were normally the ones that was involved. So firstly, let me say, bro, like I'm seriously proud of you, like from the bottom of sincerely,
Same. I'm fully proud of you, bro.
Thanks, bro. Can you just let him talk a little bit longer? Because he's about to say great things now. I'm kidding, no, but bro, like watching you develop from a videographer. An up and coming entrepreneur to having a big team, having your own place, having your own office, having people work under you. Still the quality of your work, the mad work ethic, the consistent urge to learn different things, to try different things. You never lose that. You've always had it, and I think you'll continue to have that. So. Before I ask my last question, brother, where can people find Tashinga?
By the time this goes live, because this is launching tomorrow, so
okay, great.
By the time this goes live, I'm just gonna say tashinga.live. That website is live already, but tomorrow it will have the links to everything from my music. To my socials.
Okay, can we stop there, bro? Because I mean, I want to squeeze in. We're running a little bit short on time, but bro, let's talk about your music. Let's talk about Tashinga, the producer and the artist. What's happening, bro? Talk to me.
Okay, so we had planned to release an EP in August. We've released the first single early August. Called Angels in the Sky. That's a song. That's a very personal song to me. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's my favorite one on the EP, bro. I told you that.
Oh yeah, you heard the whole EP. Yeah. I was about to say you're saying
it's
that.
About your brother. No, it's about your brother for sure.
So we released Angels in the Sky. It's a personal song. I think a lot of artists release their hit first.
Yeah.
The lead singles are always a hit, but I felt like I needed to release something that means a lot to me. Because my brother is someone who always used to push me to release music. And
such a touching story, bro.
Yeah, he passed on earlier this year. Weird story, he passed on hours before Ramaphosa announced the first lockdown.
Crazy.
So those two hits in my life happened on the same day.
Crazy.
Literally. So anyway, that happened during lockdown, I decided, let me do this. Let me do this music thing. Let me actually get to doing it. And I think the first thing, besides being involved in everything, because if you've sat with me in studio when I was just an artist manager, so you've seen me be like that line there, or let's sit down, let's write this thing. I'm even more involved now because it's my music. I also thought I needed to be involved from a musical perspective. I've dabbled in understanding chord structures or whatever, but I was like, I actually want to be able to play some chords, send them to someone else, and be like, create a beat that kind of sounds like this using these chords.
Dope.
So I did that, and I mean, I like that because at least I get to hear where what I was playing in my room became a whole song. You know what I mean? So so the music is how do I put it? Let me break it down into the release plan.
100%.
And let's hope this doesn't change because I change it every day. But the release plan is released on an EP called Preseason, which is a very personal EP. It's got the song about my brother. It's got a heartbreak song about a heartbreak that I went through. It's got two heartbreak songs.
That slipped away.
It's got a lot of love songs. So I've been in love a few times as well. And we're trying to throw on now a song about just working hard,
hustling.
So that's just it encompasses everything that is Tashinga.
For real though, I have a hook that you could use in studio. We should talk off air about that.
We can do that. We can feature you.
Yeah. It's not me though. We recorded a song called Hustling a while back though, and the chorus is dope, bro, and we never got anyone on the verses. So that is just waiting. So I mean,
no, we can definitely talk about that.
Sweet. Anyway,
and then after that, we're gonna release another EP. For now, again, this might change. For now, it's titled "I Heard You Like to Dance." So
cool.
That comes from Preseason, and it's now, not the hits, but these are songs that if you're chilling at home, you can listen to and dance to or what. We're trying to time everything to the reopening of everything. So Preseason's now, people are still at home, they can't really go out and dance too much. I Heard You Like to Dance is just as things start reopening, alcohol's allowed, but you're not really allowed to go to the clubs yet. You get that EP. And then after that, is the season, right? There's no project called the season, but that's now we're dropping all the hits.
Dope.
So that's the plan for the music, and that's how the whole music thing came to being about.
Yo, I've heard some of the tracks. It's absolute fire. It's so different. It's like a jukebox of magic. You know, I can't. You know, no, for real, bro. So, bro, I'm proud.
On the BTS.
I'm proud of you for putting that project together, because specifically about we spoke about your brother and what that song means to you, and I heard that song, and that's definitely my personal favorite. So relatable. We've all lost loved ones, so my condolences, and I know he's in a better place, bro, and I know he's proud of you, most importantly. So before I ask my last question, bro, just once again, where can these guys find you?
So find me. I had to say Tashinga.live is the core of where you're gonna find everything. Yeah. But if you do want me to go a bit further, Twitter. Yeah. Yo, I don't. We can even talk about this if you want, but I'm not on Twitter much, so we can talk about that if you want.
Give us Instagram, brother. Give us Instagram.
Okay, but yeah, if you do want to find me, it's Tashinga MTK on Twitter. Yeah. Tashinga MTK on Instagram. Just Tashinga on Facebook. Although I think Facebook also introduced the handle thing, and I think my handle is Tashinga DJ. Okay. But yeah, the website is where you can. The thing is, if you go to the website, you find me and what I'm doing. Okay. So it's not just like
100%. We'll go. We're going to the website. It will be in the link below. So we'll definitely check that out.
But can I just talk about Twitter though?
Of course.
I think Twitter has gone totally sideways to what it was years back. I don't know if you're reading.
Lost. I was kind of, but I think it lost its function.
Yeah, I think now it's just a space of toxicity and
it's a negative space. Yeah, it's definitely a negative space.
So I mean, I actually left during lockdown because, in as much as before lockdown, I'd be on Twitter, I'd see the negative stuff, but I was busy, you know. Yeah. Like I was saying, it's a time of execution. So you get up, you tweet a poster, you check some negative stuff, but you're busy again, and you're not really checking what's happening. Yeah. But during lockdown, man, you'd wake up in the morning and, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we shouldn't care about things. Like, I've just started a charity drive, which I think you should have asked me about. But anyway, you'd get onto Twitter and there's Black Lives Matter, there's that other thing happening, there's that other thing happening, and all these things are throwing negative imagery at you, right?
100%.
And because you've got nothing much else to do as lockdown, you wake up and that's the first thing you're seeing.
Which is not good.
So now you continuously get, depressed the whole day. Yeah,
of course.
And you're trying to figure out why. But it's because you're waking up and you're going to the first source of all the negative things. And
and it's consuming you, of course.
Yeah. And now the other problem with Twitter is there's no verification of facts. So like it's everything that just goes
like a
on
wildfire.
And so I'm kind of not on there anymore. I only went back just to help push the music and help push the charity drive that we're launching. Which
I think the key for me, bro, is like when you reach a certain level, in your career, specifically if in the entertainment and creative industry, we obviously understand from a marketing perspective that social media is necessary for your brand. Like, we can't argue that in any way, shape, or form. But I mean, just for your own personal mental health, I think it's just a post and don't look at anything, to be honest with you, because it you are right 100%. It's so toxic. But why I would just like to add on that, because there's so much mental health issues in our society, is that, you know what, don't let those negative people, affect your behavior, man. And I know it's easy for me to say, but at the end of the day, these are a bunch of assholes, a bunch of trollers, like trying to ruin someone's day, So and I think that's it's a cheap form of abuse. And so I just think, post whatever you want, you know what I mean. But I mean, when I say whatever you want, obviously, it shouldn't hurt anyone deliberately. It shouldn't be facetious in any way, shape, or form. But don't look at the comments, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like just ignore the negativity, because that is not good for you in any way, shape, or form. So let's talk about your charity very, very quickly, if you don't mind. The drive.
I'm gonna talk about that quickly because.
It's
As
important.
At the recording date, we're still figuring things out. So I mean, I'll just say that I did say we're planning to release our EP in August. Yeah. We've decided not to spend the month of August doing that. So during the month of August, we are trying to raise as much money, food stuff, and clothes as we can to just help the underprivileged in Zim, the underprivileged in Zim. And the reason we're doing that, as opposed to, personally, the reason I'm doing that as opposed to retweeting all the political things is I've lived in Zim for long enough to understand that my hashtag is not going to change the government. You know, it's going to raise awareness, 100%. But the people that should be changing that are other governments and other presidents, and they can see the stuff happening. They know it's happening. So when they want to, they'll fix it, right? But I think what we can do from the ground is also fix things from the ground, right? If there's 100,000 kids starving, if we can feed 100 of them, and someone
job
else
well
can
done,
do
bro. Job well done. We all have an important role to play.
Yeah,
for real, bro. And I'm in, bro. If you need help, like, let me know. I'm helping out.
Yeah. So at this point, like today, as we're recording, we're chatting to 3 NGOs in Zim. I'm just trying to make sure we get a very transparent, and with each and every one of them, I'm speaking to them and saying, guys, I need to make sure there's a transparent flow of whether it's money or of these goods, because in as much as it's an NGO, right, in any country, not even saying in Zimbabwe, I'm not pinpointing this to Zimbabwe, in any country, especially where there's poverty, there could be some sort of corruption. So 100%. I don't want a situation where I collect people's millions, we send millions to Zimbabwe, we never see what happens. So we're trying to sort out that transparency thing, and the moment we have that sorted, we're going to fully launch the campaign, and I'll come and tell you
100%. I mean, bro, it's amazing work. Amazing work. So we can add humanitarian to that list that
You could do that too. Or you could just add human being, because I think any human being should be doing things like this.
We all have a role to play, and I think at the end of the day, we are each other, and we should help each other, therefore. So my last question, brother, it's been an amazing interview. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, you know, as entrepreneur, but most importantly, as a friend and a brother. How do we make this industry a better place?
I thought you were going to ask about girls.
We'll talk about that.
I had a feeling. The moment you were like, but also as friends, how do we make this industry better? My question is, which industry? The Cape Town one? Which one specifically?
I mean, like if we could do, like, you know, Cape Town and then just in general.
Okay. With Cape Town, I would definitely say collaborate. And I think we've spoken about this for years now. And just over the years, we've seen all the collaborated projects are the things that ended up being big things. I don't know if you've ever like looked at the history of Rocking the Daisies, but that was quite a collaborative project. I think as entrepreneurs, we really need to look at each other's businesses, see our strengths, and see how we can come together and make, certain 100%. Things come together. And I've spoken to you off air about a specific project that we're doing that is lean towards that. I can't speak about it on camera yet because,
obviously. T's and C's.
in
days.
I think in Cape Town, I'll say collaboration. In South Africa and Africa as a whole, funny enough, it's the same thing, collaboration. And I'm saying this because when you look at the American industry, right, you will see that a West Coast artist, and I recently learned, and I'm going to judge everyone here off camera if people don't really know the positioning of countries on the world map. I recently learned that the people I work with don't know where countries are or where America is. But anyway, West Coast and East Coast America is a bit of a big amount. This is big distance, right? In Africa, if you flip that, that would be like from South Africa to North Africa, right? But you find that artists from the West Coast are collaborating with artists from the East Coast. What that does is that the West Coast artist gets a market in the East Coast, and this happens like all the time.
100%.
When they're filming a movie, they script the movie and they get actors from all over, and they, you know what I mean? In Africa, we still have this Zimbabwean movie, South African movie, Nigerian movie.
100%.
So these industries are growing to a ceiling. They're getting to a point where, cool, the Nigerian movie industry blew up and Nollywood is a thing now, but what's next? Do you know what I mean? But if we had a movie with like Debanj and Bonang and the biggest artists in Zim and the biggest artists there, and I'm mentioning big brands, but if these people were actors, they would know how to do accents. So they can all do an accent and seem like they're from the same place. Because this is what happens in the United States, right? An actor from Australia learns a West Coast States accent and goes and acts in a movie. Her next movie is acting as an East Coast person, and you can tell that they're good at this. So if African actors, I'm talking from the movie industry at this point, were to come were to be in one movie, that movie could premiere in Zimbabwe, South Africa, Nigeria, and unfortunately, we're now living in a time where movie premieres in the cinema aren't as big anymore. But if we had made these collaborations at that time, we would be, first week blockbuster status a long time ago.
100%.
But we still have this. In fact, in South Africa, it's even bad to a point where only recently did we start having Joburg actors come to film something in Cape Town. It was like Cape Town movie industry, Joburg movie industry. Because I study film, so these are things I know about. But in any industry, we go to music, same thing, right? You get the moment AKA collaborated with Burna Boy, you got a market that was able to travel. And I just don't see why we're not, especially in this digitalized, globalized world, why it's so difficult for me as a big Zimbabwean artist to reach out to a big Algerian artist and be like, let's make a song, bro. And the other, let's make a song. Let's pay money, let's make a song. And that would grow our industry immensely.
Tashinga, with that, bro, that great advice. I think just to end off, that is definitely going to happen. I think coronavirus has forced us to work in that way. So I do think that a lot of barriers have been broken and coronavirus has its silver lining. So hopefully in the entertainment industry, because it is suffering at the moment, that will be one of the silver linings. But Tashinga, with that, bro, this has been an awesome interview. I've learned some things I didn't know about you. And also you've spoken about the many things that I do know about you. It's a privilege and honor to be your friend, to be a colleague in the industry. So I wish you nothing but success and happiness. And thank you so much for being here, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chef. Cool. Thank you for having me.
Cool.
It's raw, baby. And it's raw, baby. And it's raw, baby. And it's raw, baby. Yeah. It's raw, baby. And it's raw, baby. And it's raw, baby. And it's raw.